course. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Hello, Tal. Nice to meet you. A long corridor that goes like this, and then it turns at the end. The fourth element will be different sculptures which are dealing with the idea of the nose of the sailor. If we don't have any word for this, we just call it sailor's nose. And if possible, 3 meters high.
And do they have a...
Yes, a roof.
A roof.
A roof?
Yes.
And if they have a roof, you need the lighting inside this.
I need lighting inside.
So,
and this is just a wall.
yeah.
But in here you can walk around, like an L. Do you understand, Susanne? I grew up, like many other people, between different countries. I mean, I was born in Israel by an Israeli father and a Danish mother. And then, just after the 6-day war, we went back to Copenhagen, where I grew up, where I went to school. I don't know exactly what the word home means. I'm quite familiar with Danish. I think I know all the different angles of that language, which I don't know about English. I don't know, I'm not home in English. But sometimes I express myself better in English, although I'm not really home in English. Yeah, like most things, you know, in life, most good things in life, everything starts with a blind date. And you know, when they asked me from Wolfsburg to do a show, there was no relationship between, it was a relationship between me and the person who asked. And behind the person was the city. But then I suddenly, in my memory, I understood actually that I've been in Wolfsburg when I was quite young. Because my father used to produce tools for the car industry. So he took me here to Wolfsburg when I was really young. He really dreamt that I would go into his business, which never really happened. But he took me here and it was a real rich experience. I think one of the most important things I learned is that we went into the factory, the car factory here, and my father had to explain why his tools was a better tool. And he spoke in a mix of English, German, Danish, and Yiddish. And his hair went that way, and his tie went that way. And in this room, there were like 15 doctors. You know, everybody in Germany is a doctor here. So everybody was sitting there looking at this strange man. And I, as a young man, I noticed the kind of the cliff, the gap between them. They looked at him, and he was talking. And he was not a salesman. If he was a salesman, he was a quite bad salesman. But after 20 minutes, everybody understood that he knew what he was talking about. And they bridged the gap because he understood what he was talking about. And that was such a beautiful experience to see that you can You can have a lot of social mistakes, but if you know what you talk about, you're going to win in the end. And that was a good experience, and that's by coincidence, that's Wolfsburg. No, this was a very special journey. It was inspired, in the old days when scientists, they went to explore the world. They would always bring artists to do the drawings of the new species of a monkey or whatever. And then suddenly somebody said, why don't we do it again? We take scientists and we take artists. And then they asked me, do you want to go? It's the northeast side of Greenland. There is a fjord system that is only a few months a year you can actually go there, because the rest of the year is full of ice, and you can only go there like really on an expedition. It is like going to the end of the world. And for me, it was really like a blind date. I didn't have any ambitions of going to that part of the world. It was not part of my imagination. And probably therefore I said yes. It's a little bit like, what they say in the movie Godfather. It's an offer you can't refuse. So I had a sense of humor, so I said yes to this blind date. And we went on this boat for 17 days. We sailed around, and what can I do on a boat? What can you do? How many books can you read? And how many conversations can you have? So in the end, you sit there and you draw clouds. You draw mountains and how they reflect in the water. Same place every day on the boat, just change a little bit according to the wind. And you sit there and you draw a cloud, but after a second the cloud is gone. And even the mountain, it's a new mountain because the boat is moving. So very early you are faced, either you are going to be cramped because my mountain just disappeared, my cloud is away. Or you say, whatever, I start this mountain. If it's a new mountain, I take a little bit of this mountain. So you deal more with the whole situation. And very quickly you actually sail away in your work.
Ja, diesen Vergleich mit dem Magier habe ich deshalb gewählt, weil er es auf ganz besondere Weise schafft, einem als Zuhörer und auch als Betrachter in seinen Bann zu ziehen, in einen reinzuziehen in seine Welt. Und es ist wirklich wunderschön, ihm zuzuhören, wenn er erzählt von dieser Reise, die ja der Ausgangspunkt dieser Ausstellung ist. Man meint, man sitzt mit ihm zusammen auf Deck und schaut sich mit ihm gemeinsam die Landschaft an.
And they gave me a gun.
A gun?
Yes.
For what?
Because when you walk in the landscape, you have to carry a real huge gun. Because there can be polar bears and they want to eat you. For them, you are just like a walking McDonald's. Because they're hungry. Because man destroyed their normal hunting ground, so they go on land, look for somebody like me. And I have the possibility to say either please eat me or I shoot you. And I really enjoyed carrying a gun. So it was such a weird thing. Actually, kind of, sorry to say, very sexy thing. To carry a big gun.
You've done it before?
Never. But I would love that I get more possibilities to carry a gun.
It's crazy, yes. But it's a man thing, I think.
You know what? It's crazy, but it's also terrible normal.
Yes.
You experience in yourself that this is about looking into the landscape and understanding there is potential something that would eat you out there. Something exists. It exists as a room in your brain already. And if this exists, better have a gun. Maybe in the end, you know what you experience when you are a place like that.
Yeah.
you find out that our history is like so short. Even if we say 3,000 years, you know, we even talk about 1,000 years before Jesus arrived. In Greenland, that's not even enough to make a little mark on a mountain. A mark on a mountain up there is 400 million years. So we're just a small chance. We're just here for a second. We are actually without any force. We don't matter up there. And up there is actually also just a picture for here as well. We are not, our power is not that great in the end. So when you are faced with it, what else to do than just take a pen and a piece of paper? It makes absolutely sense. It makes even more sense than taking a camera. And there's a beautiful choreography. When you see people go to these places, everybody takes out their camera and they look at these amazing mountains. They take a picture and then they look at the image and you see all of them having this disappointment because you understand there's such a great gap between this and this. So a piece of paper and a stupid pen is just absolutely perfect, dealing with 400 million years, mountains, clouds and stuff like that.